Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something I haven't really spoken about in a while, and that's Magic the Gathering. I haven't spoken about it since they released that dreadful 30th edition idea out there on the market that apparently Moxes are selling for like $3,000 graded in that thing. Whatever, I don't care about that stuff because it's something that's out of my price range. It's something I will never, ever go into in Magic the Gathering. But today, we're going to talk about why Standard is dying. Well, I think I have a valid point here. Standard in Magic the Gathering. Standard is a format that you can play, 2 players, play Standard, and that is with the last up to 8 sets legal in the format for Magic the Gathering. If you haven't played Magic the Gathering before, it's best to hone up a little bit on it. You got lands, you got creatures, you got spells. All you need to know is you cast creatures, you cast spells. You are a wizard, you are a planeswalker that is casting and summoning creatures to your aid to fight and to battle. And what came out was Aaron Forsythe, which is, I think he's the VP of Magic the Gathering or something like that. I can't remember. He's up there on the list. Yeah, he's VP design for Magic the Gathering. He came out there over the past few years. Standard play has dried up in many stores. Well, here, I'll tell you right now, Standard is not fun. Straight through and through, I have stopped playing Arena because of Standard, because of the meta, because of what they did to the game, why I stepped away from Magic in general, why I am no longer playing it, why I uninstalled Arena because of the nightmare it is. I have my own list of possible reasons, but I'd love to hear from you about the store community. Why has sanctioned standard of play declined relative to other formats in your store? And he really, really wants us to talk about it. Well, first off, I did do my own thing here. Because you guys started focusing on everything but Standard. Standard was the entry point for players. Cards used to have to go through Standard before moving on to other formats. Now other formats are where the cards are getting targeted to, taking all the fun out of exploring Standard. What do I mean by that? What am I talking about here? Well, if you walk into a local game store, they now have to carry about 4 different products for each set that comes out onto the market. You have your draft boosters, which is its own format in itself. You have your set boosters, which are an upgraded version and a less cards in a pack than a draft booster, but you cannot draft with them. Then you have your collector's boosters, which has all the specialty arts and all these specialty things, and they're falling flat on their face because they're just overdone. Then you have a commander set or a commander deck that has come out with every single release. So, Standard is supposed to be the entry point, but it no longer is. Commander and Kitchen Table is your entry point for Magic the Gathering now. No one wants to play Standard because there is no support for Standard. People in the past, you would open draft boosters by the caseloads, and those cards would flood the market and make Standard a viable option, and people would open it up in the store. Stores used to have people opening packs for them before they were released so they can sell the singles of them right away. This used to be the method. Now, that method is, they don't even need to do that anymore because once the product is in the store, they're selling it now because the sales are so abysmal. Hasbro stock at one point took a nosedive, less than $60 a share in the last week, and this is all tied to what they've done with the Magic the Gathering world in general. They create stuff using what they call the fire design, and it's from the top down where they build these big flashy cards, make them the most hard to come by for the set, so thus increasing the value of the cards and making them so broken and so unique that then after the set comes out, after the set goes through a little bit, they ban them. And that does not bode well for Standard. Standard used to be the one place where you could go and no cards weren't getting banned right away. you knew the power level was lowered down. You knew the power level was at a even style playing field. You didn't have to have these uber cards to play the game. Now, if you look at like the card above me, Shield Red, sells upwards to $100 a copy.
Man, this place looks expensive. I feel like I'm wasting a fortune just standing here.
Dependent on the art that you choose. Now, you don't have to go with that art, but you're still looking at $50 plus a copy for this card in a standard deck. That, my friends, is part of the reason why this game is completely falling flat on its face. No one wants to shill out $50 on a copy of a card that's going to rotate out of the game. It's going to rotate out of the format, then it's going to crater on the rotation. The card will drop down to $15, $20, maybe gets picked up in a modern deck. If it doesn't get picked up in a modern deck or another style deck, the card falls off a cliff and becomes bulk. And that is one of the things that we see with standard. Cards can't be so overpowered that they will fall flat on their face. That is one of the biggest reasons why this game is crashing and burning. But you know what? Someone's put up a nice little chart of the last 30 years of Magic the Gathering products. And you know what? I figured I'd share it here. You've got from 1993 to 2022. Just look at this. Look at this. You have this nice even flow for the first 20 years, and now it's off the edge of a cliff. They have taken the leap into the ocean. There is so many sets now, you cannot keep them straight. I've stopped buying the product because I can't afford it, and B, there is so much product out there. There is no point in me going out there and buying product anymore. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to build a commander deck. Thus, I'm targeting singles, and singles right now are probably one of the cheapest ways you can ever enter the Magic the Gathering realm. But they still have 4 sets that come out in a year. Generally, they go into the standard format, then they rotate out. But they've done in the last 5 to 10 years, they've done more than 4 basic sets. Like you got Magic 25, and then it comes down to Iconic Masters. You now have a Jumpstart in there. You have this. There's too many sets. There's just too many sets for anyone to focus on standard. All the focus has been shifted away from standard and into modern, Pioneer, and Commander. Hell, they brought out companions in Ikoria, 5 of which have been banned out of the 10 that they made in one format or another. And those cards reached all the way up to Legacy. They changed Legacy. We also had the Summer of Oko. The Trickster Planeswalker. He got banned in everything. Like everything, because the card was too powerful. He was overlooked and too powerful. The playtesters, there is none. Not plain and simple. There is no playtesting of these sets. And that's probably another reason why they're falling flat on their face. The fun aspect of playing standard is no longer there. People go and play Commander. They play Modern. You build a Modern deck and you can sit on a Modern deck for years at a time now and not worry about the deck rotating. The cards are going to retain their value, where with Standard, they are not. They go way up into the stratosphere for value and fall off a cliff when they rotate, like we're going to see with Shield Red. The Great Henge was one of those cards that maybe is maintained a little bit because it's useful in Commander. But if these cards don't find a format outside of Standard, they fall off a cliff, and that is the biggest problem. And then you have to use these cards to even play Standard. If you look at the Standard metagame, aggro is 62% of it, and control is 37% of it for the last 2 months. You go into the last 2 weeks, aggro is at a big whopping 70%. And that's going to be driven by the Arena Standard, because Arena plays hundreds of thousands of games in a day. So the faster you can play a game, thus aggro, the more it's going to skew this so much. But if you take a look at the Pro Tour, the World Championship that came out, you got the best decks, you got an Esper deck at the top, and then you have Grixis decks. The top 4, I can tell you right now, were a complete snooze fest because they were control-a-thons. Midrange and Esper Raffini, these are both going to be decks that are high in control. They're not going to be fun to play against. They're not going to be fun to watch, let alone want to sit there and play. Like, they're also over the $500 mark for a standard deck. Your best bet right now is this mono blue tempo deck that is about $100, but he doesn't even compare. He doesn't even make like the top 4. He just gets beat out by these other decks. So once again, it's a pay-to-play scenario in standard. If you're going to play pay the money, you're going to be able to play the game, but no one has the money to sit there and fork over to play for standard to rent a deck and then have it crater and get rug pulled out from underneath them. We recently had a ban in standard for the meat hook. One of the cards that when I first saw that card, I said it's going to need to be banned because this card is too powerful. And lo and behold, months later, after it's out of purchasing power out of the booster packs, it gets pulled from the set. Standard is a complete mess. Aaron Forsythe, you should be an embarrassment right now to even be thinking and asking these questions. Hasbro stocks is in the toilet. What do you guys expect? You guys messed around and found out what happens years after you completely change the format and completely change what you want to do with products. You're creating so many products now. LGSs are having to sit there and fork over money after money after money, and it all sits on the shelf. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't move. It's to the point now where LGSs are not asking for any more product from the distributors, and the distributors are sitting there left holding the bag. Now they're getting dumped on Amazon, completely ruining the economy and completely ruining the LGSs because you guys need to make a dollar because you guys tanked the game in the last 5 years. This is what happens when you mess around and you found out. Congratulations, Wizards of the Coast. Hopefully you guys can set the course and right this ship back to where it needs to be because it's not anywhere where it once was. Thanks for watching. This is Proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow, signing off here. Have yourselves a great day. I will catch you all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.